Hey everybody, this is just a real quick video for some of you that have the C6 Corvette 05 to 13 that might be having a fuel smell issue, strong gas odor coming from the car, either after you fill up or just driving around, parking in the garage, or get into it and you can smell it inside the car. Typically it comes from the right, or the left rear wheel well area. What it comes down to, a lot of people are saying that overfilling causes it and things like that. I mean, that may be to an extent, but that's really not going to be the case on these cars, and so I'm kind of going to explain to you why. There's the fuel filler neck. I mean, you can see it does have an evap line that connects to it, but it actually, can't really see it in here with my poor lighting, but barely see it. That pipe runs around and connects up onto the top, and overfilling might cause a little bit of fuel smell, or it might cause some fuel to run in that evap line, but typically it's really not going to be that bad. Not enough to cause the fuel smell that everybody has. That's going to be the evap line right there that connects to that and runs down around there. And when I took this thing off, I didn't see any gas coming out of there. And I'm the kind of person that I fill it till it clicks, and I put a little bit more maybe to get an even number or even gallonage. So I'm the guy that does the things that everybody says not to do. But anyways, I've had a few Vettes and a bunch of cars in my life, and it's never been an issue like this. I've overfilled every car I've ever owned and never had a problem like this. So basically what it comes down to this is that fuel pump inside your driver's side fuel tank. Anyway, so what happens is this original fuel pump module has some defective plastic, and what happens is, as you can see, there's some evidence of spraying around here, and you can see some of that buildup where it's actually hit and kind of run down. It runs down here the side of the tank and collects. You might see it in different positions depending on where it's breaking, but anyways, on mine, right there at that high pressure outlet, there is a small crack, and you can't really see it that well, but if you look at there's a little copper colored spot, little rust colored spot. That's a little bit of that crack that you can see, and it runs under that thing all the way to the other side. And you see the small hairline fracture right there, also right at that 90 degree, right inside there on that plastic. And so that's pretty much where it's leaking from, and apparently it's a small little spray that's spraying out of there and collecting. I really don't know why you smell a little bit more whenever you fill up, but again, the guys that are going to say, well, it's because you top it off. I don't do that every time. If I may just put a couple gallons in there, it's kind of the same thing. There's really no rhyme or reason, but I think a lot of us notice it a little bit more when we fill up. Why, I really don't know, but this is what it comes down to. I mean, long story short, this is it. You can see, again, all the evidence of the fuel coming down. Now, looking under my car, I never saw any wet spots underneath there. I never saw any fuel. I crawled up underneath this thing. I looked at the crossover tube. I looked at the evap lines. I pulled that inner fender liner out. I looked all around there. I didn't see anything. I even put a scope in there to look on top of that tank. And as you can see, I might, even if I could get that scope in there, it didn't want to snake in there well enough, but even if I could get in there, I might not have been able to really see what the heck was going on. And then this is the aluminum pan that not only protects the fuel tank, but actually is the support for it. And if you kind of look at it, you don't really see any evidence, but when I shine my light on it, you can see there are the spots where it started to kind of creep out. Now, when I first got this car, of course I bought this car used, it's got a few modifications, but they never got into the fuel system. I never saw anything underneath there, because this pan was holding it up. But of course, here we go, and there is all the leakage that's been happening. It just kind of collects up there. These little pads are kind of fuel saturated and nasty, so it's retaining some of that. So you will not always see these leaks. You can take it to the dealer, they might not see the leaks. You can take it to a shop, they might not be able to see them. Not until they pull that fender liner off inspect inside there, or just pull this pan off. You know, you can take this pan off. Yes, it's the only thing holding the tank on, but if you you know, try to run your tank very low, of course. But once you take it off, I mean, the tank's just going to drop a little bit. It'll be held on by that, you know, hose and then the crossover pipe, and it's really not going to be enough, you know, stress to cause any issues. You know, these tanks are so light whenever you get them low. I got mine down to 1/8 of a tank, so most of the fuel is in this side. But anyways, there's the old part number, and then this is the updated part number. I called GM. Of course, you know, give them the last 80-year VIN. They're going to tell you what's what. They pulled up that fuel pump, and I asked them if that was the updated version. They said yes, it was the updated version. They gave me the price. It was sky high. Even at my cost, I got a shop rate. You know, and it was pretty expensive. So I just took that part number. I called it full service, and you know, they got it for me. So I'm going to put this thing in, and I know that's going to take care of the issue. Just a word to the wise, I have never pulled one of these out of a vet. I've done a bunch of fuel tanks, you know, fuel pumps, and all different types of vehicles. This one here is kind of a pain because of the 2-tank system. It has a crossover tube that connects here. It's got 2 fuel lines that are inside there, and this little insert actually, see that black insert with those 2 yellow O-rings inside of it? That thing actually can move, and when you take that crossover pipe out, it can actually pull those lines out. You got to be careful, and don't just start jerking that tank down. Get that crossover line out. Get those lines disconnected. Like I said, they come out. I can illustrate it like this, you know. And of course, I'll take a little bit of gentle persuasion, but get those things off that crossover line. Put it inside there. Try to be as gentle as you can. It's almost impossible. And then also there's the evap line that's up on top, which is also pretty difficult to get to because you don't have much room. It's going to have the same type of connection as this here. Just has the one push button right here on the side, but for some reason, you know, that one that's up in there is pretty difficult to get out. So whenever you go back in with it, go ahead and, you know, lube that O-ring up before you put it on, just in case you ever got to pull this thing back out again or decide to upgrade your fuel system. Anyways, the crossover tube is also really hard to get off because it's got a corrugated metal sleeve that goes around that whole assembly, and that thing does not want to give. So when you pull it, when you get the little black tab and you're able to get that out of the way, and you're able to release this thing, turn it counterclockwise, it's going to unlatch from these little clips here, and you start to slide it out. It has a lot of length to it, and it's very difficult to get out, and that pipe does not want to crunch. It wants to kind of bend, and so, you know, if you're doing this with your whole drive line in the car, it's going to be pretty difficult. You're going to have to go to church, you know, after this, because you're going to be cussing a lot. So anyways, be careful with that. The only way you're going to be able to also get that crossover tube off is on the passenger side. You have the fuel tank. You're going to have to go ahead and just take the bolts off that, drop the other pan out of the way. It's going to lower the tank just a little bit, but what it's going to do is give you just a little bit of room to get that crossover pipe off and out of the way. So anyways, it's not that big of a deal, but plan to spend all day on it. If you're the weekend warrior, don't typically do things like this, get a knowledgeable person. Make sure you do it right. Of course, always have a fire extinguisher, you know, just in case. You never know. But anyways, this is just a simple illustration video, guys. I'm not a professional video maker, so if you have a C6 that has this fuel smell problem, you know, this is going to be it. If you haven't updated the pump, if it hasn't been warranted or whatever the deal was, you know, take care of it this way. You're going to have get a fuel pump. So anyways, that's all I got. Thanks.